Transportation Improvement District to order and ask that you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, I'm Chris Boserman, Delaware County Engineer. I have the honor of chairing our TID board. To my right is our Vice Chair, Tracy Davies, who's the County Administrator. Cy Keeley is our Treasurer from the Treasurer's Office. Two citizen appointments to the board, Mr. Patrick Blaney and Tom Price, both longtime supporters of all things transportation infrastructure in Delaware County. So thank you all for being here. And we'll move ahead with any public comment. Did we have anybody sign in for public comment, Sarah? Thank you. The next item would be the approval of the minutes from the June 8th, 22 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll move for approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Under board member reports, I'll go first and share that Rob Riley and I joined a meeting with the City of Delaware on the Sawmill Parkway Extension Project that our board's participating in, dealing with right-of-way, and there's right-of-way needed for drainage outlet for the current phase and for the future phase of construction. And so just wanted you to be aware we're trying to assist the city in procuring that necessary right-of-way, and I think there's a hard stop date from the city standpoint here next week, I think. So
is it going to go to him in a domain?
What's that?
Is it going to him in a domain?
From the tone of the meeting, I thought there probably would be an agreement, but if they can't reach the agreement in that time frame, in order for the city not to experience delay claims from their contractor, they'll have to go ahead and file that. And there's nothing that says an agreement can't get worked out after the filing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
so I'm not sure of the status of where they are on that, other than to say that just wanted you to be aware that that's going on. So I'll defer my comments about discussions we've had about the Intel impacts until item 7 on our agenda. Are there other board member reports? Hearing none, I'd ask Cy to present us with the Secretary Treasurer's report.
Current cash balance is $4,257,343.15. And also, I'd like to add that our audit is complete. We had another clean audit.
Good work. Thank you. It's good to hear a number like that. For about the first year, we had about $20,000 or $30,000 that Cy would report in our coffers, and so I think that balance is proof that the TID is doing what it's designed to and capable of doing in terms of facilitating projects and being a supplementary financing source for those projects. So with that, I'd entertain a motion to accept the Secretary Treasurer's report.
So move. Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. I recognize Chief Deputy Engineer Rob Riley for the staff report.
Okay, good morning. I'll just run through briefly the report presented in the packet. As I turn to it, start with the 7136-37 Interchange Project. We are continuing to plug along with the design with MS Consultants. Generally, things are going as expected. I will say that I do anticipate the need for contract modification at some point in the future, and the reason for that is we had to do a little bit more work to define the right-of-way footprint to the west of I-71. That was not something we really expected up front, but in order to basically secure that right-of-way and hopefully not create an issue for the property owner, we've had to do a little bit more design work than anticipated to the west of 71. Otherwise, things are going, as I said, generally as expected. We do still anticipate final plans third quarter of next year. Continue to work with ODOT. ODOT's actively involved in this, so it's not just the county engineer's office leading the charge. So I'll have more to report probably early next year. Really, until then, we're just kind of plugging away on the details. Home Road and Sawmill Parkway, if you've driven past that, there's a lot of work going on. I drove through yesterday. They were paving on the north side of Home Road. They should start paving on the south side of Home Road, the widening probably next week or the week after. And we're currently about 70% complete, and I would expect them to wrap that project up sometime in October. So we did experience a delay with a gas line that was in conflict with the work unexpectedly. So that did delay the project by several weeks, but we're back on track. They're working and going ahead as expected. So any questions on either of those projects?
Just
Yes.
one, what's the traffic like? Has there been any traffic studies on Home Road to east-west of late, let's say in the last 2 years or 3 since we've got Sawmill Road working there? What I'm getting at, it's only a 2-lane highway with a middle lane that you can't pass anybody from Shaughnessy clear to Liberty.
Right.
And
Home Road is typical of a lot of our roads where the breakdowns and traffic flow really occur at the intersections, and so the work we're doing at Sawmill should open that, bottom that up. The 2-lane sections can still carry a lot of traffic. That center turn lane does help with getting the left turn movements out, so you don't experience, one car wanting to turn left, backing up
Yeah.
30 or 40
if you get
cars.
somebody running 30 mile an hour and you're wanting to run 45. well,
Right. There is, yeah, so further widening to, 4 or 5 lanes would be a really major effort. At some point, that will certainly be needed, but I think we're a little bit, we're a ways off from looking at that. I think the key at this point is getting that, modern typical section in. We've really got one more section remaining, and that's from Liberty Road past the caverns to 315, and we've got that section actually under design at the county engineer's office right now, so that would be a 3-lane section. That's by far the most challenging section, just because of the topography and properties involved. So, but that's a good point. As part of the OSU Medical Center campus, they did a traffic impact study, and that's really what, as you know, kind of motivated the need for the home and Sawmill projects. But generally speaking, the rest of the 2-lane road, 1 lane in each direction should serve our needs for some time still.
Thank you.
I'll move on to Sawmill Parkway Phase G. Mr. Bosman mentioned we had a meeting with the City of Delaware to talk about the right-of-way needed at the quarry. Basically, the drainage outlet for that project goes to the west towards the quarry, and there's an easement needed on the quarry property for that. So trying to secure that. G1 is about 1,600 feet currently under construction. My understanding is their goal is to have that completed this fall. And then we are still working with the city on G2, which is getting the road over to Section Line Road. So that's under design, and we'll continue working with the quarry. There were some conversations about how that intersects Section Line Road. So more to come on that. And just to add, the project agreement has been executed between the city that your board approved last meeting, I believe. So we will be making that $500,000 payment here sometime within the next few weeks. Next on the list, Bale Canyon Road improvements. I'll defer my comments until I think item 8 on the agenda. We can discuss that more. And then I can probably defer this one as well, though it's really the next item, but I guess I'll tee it up at least. We've had some preliminary conversations with Bill Lozier at the Licking County TID regarding Intel. Licking County TID is sponsoring a traffic planning study for Intel to identify some of the improvements, some of the traffic patterns that will be a result of Intel, to identify where those improvements need to be made. We think it would be beneficial either through the county engineer's office or through the TID to participate in that study, looking at a few of our kind of major east-west roads from Westerville and Sunbury going east, in particular Sunbury Road, Smothers, Fancher, Center Village, and Delaware-Licking County Line Road. Probably reasonable to expect a lot of the workforce for Intel will live in Delaware County. We have more new housing around than anyone in the area, so if you think about Lewis Center and Westerville and Sunbury, Galena, all those areas, there's some movement currently going east towards New Albany, but that will be greatly impacted by Intel. That will be largely increased. So want to get a good handle on that. Frankly, I think we're all guessing at this point as to what those volumes might be, and I think it's worthwhile to look more closely at that. So as I said, that effort can either go through the county engineer's office or the TID. That's for further discussion. So I will leave it at that. If there are no other questions.
I think it's important we do that. I had the opportunity to sit in a meeting where the presentation was made by the development manager at New Albany with the scope of that whole thing and everything.
Having trouble hearing you, Pat.
Excuse me, I said, I had the opportunity to sit in a meeting where the presentation was made by the New Albany development manager of that whole area, the scope and whatever else is going on out there. And there's other things happening, a lot of other things happening besides Intel. So I do think it's extremely important we get involved in this thing early.
Yes. So we'll let Rob teeing up that topic roll right into this discussion in here on item 7 in our agenda. The study that the Licking County TID is doing takes the current studies have been done are pretty focused on the interstate, or not the interstate, but state highway system and 161 and 62 and what the impacts are on those major routes. And we and Licking County and I think Franklin County are all interested in what's that mean for our local road system and how we respond to that. So Licking County initially negotiated a contract. Franklin County's already joined. The Franklin County Engineer's Office has already joined that. Or is it their TID, Rob?
I don't know.
Not sure which. Has already joined that study. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that we do that. It's kind of a matter of technicalities of how we do it. We could do that through the TID. We could also do it as an intergovernmental agreement that our office would handle and do it through a resolution by the commissioners. But we simply would be tagging on to the study that the Licking County TID is doing. They would still hold the contract. We'd reimburse them for our share of that. I know they'd give us plenty of ample opportunity to have input into the study and be participants and not just taking what the final product is. But
I think it's really important to participate some way.
Yeah.
I defer to you on
Yeah.
which mechanism. I think we all have concerns on traffic and what's going to happen. While I understand ODOT is doing what they need to do to 161, people are going to cut through Delaware County to get to 71 North if that's the direction they're going. So I'm particularly concerned about what path they'll take and what improvements we may need to make and get assistance and funding.
Exactly. I think that's the key. Once we identify the projects, then we're in a position to say, the money that's been earmarked for infrastructure improvements
Yes.
as a result of this project, we've got something definitive then to ask for. So I think that's a really good point, Tracy. My inclination is just to treat that as a general commissioner resolution approving our agreement, intergovernmental agreement with Licking County TID. There's a lot of things that the TID can do that we can't do quickly or easily or even do at all through a normal governmental structure. This is one that we can easily accomplish under the county commissioners and in our office. So I think if you guys are all okay with that, I don't want if there's a compelling reason why our board should do that as opposed to the commissioners.
What kind of timeline do you think they're going to ask? Or
I think our next step is to sit down with Bill Ozier's the director of the Licking County TID, and to sit down with him and just rough out the scope that they would expand their project to.
as
And,
much public
but
pressure
I-
as they're getting over there from Croton and Johnstown and
Yeah.
everybody else, I'd guess it'd be pretty high on their list.
Yeah,
Will we have some information for next month's meeting?
absolutely. I'd hope to have a definitive direction for
Yeah.
you. Or maybe, hopefully already taken
I
out.
hope so too.
Yeah, so, if, with no objection, we'll move ahead and work through Tracy and the commissioners and Eric to get an intergovernmental agreement and move forward. I thought it was really important you understood, we're taking that step, and I'd be very surprised if projects that come out of that study, don't have some connection to our board in the future, that some of those projects may come through here.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I neglected to update you on the application to ODOT for the Jobs and Commerce Division grant to TIDs. Unfortunately, we were not successful with that application. And while I think Sawmill Parkway was a very good project, good application, I think we can all understand the fact that there's, 50 some odd TIDs in the state, and ODOT has a difficult job of trying to spread that money around, so to speak. So I think I would say it's all that much more important that next year, when it comes time to apply for that grant, we have some good data and certainly intel. The urgency isn't going to go away. I think we'll be in a very good position next year if we can identify some intel-related improvements in Delaware County that might stand a very good chance of getting funded. So just some additional support for doing this work.
An ancillary point to that, if any of you have the opportunity to speak with any of our state legislators, reinforce the fact that the TID allocation that's set by statute needs to be increased. It's increased very minimally since the time there were just a handful of TIDs in the state, and now, as Rob said, is over 50. Over half the counties are competing for what turns out to be a relatively small pot of money now when you water it down to that many applications. So if you get a chance, add that to your list of things to talk to people about who can affect that change. Any other discussion on item 7? Let's look at item 8, approving a project agreement with Orange Township for Bale Canyon Road Improvements Phase 1. And we have 2 representatives from Orange Township here with us. Thank you for your interest and your cooperation in putting this together. Do you have anything you'd like to say about it? You don't need to feel like you have to, but I don't want to deprive you of the opportunity to weigh in if you'd like.
If you could come to the podium so we can all hear you.
You don't feel like I feel like I'm dragging you up here. Don't feel compelled to do that if you don't want to.
I'll make
Okay.
it quick. Michelle Bonney, Orange Township Administrator. We just wanted to say thank you for this award and opportunity. We seem to be financially set for Phase 1, and we will make plans for Phase 2 and 3 in the near future. Thank you.
Good.
Do you have any questions for us, or?
I don't. Rob, while you're still standing there, would you go ahead and do the setup on the, what that you deferred from your report, Rob, and just kind of talk us through where we're at on that?
I certainly will. So Bale Canyon, basically the portion between Powell Road up to Orange Road, the county engineer's office has prepared plans on behalf of the township for upgrades to that section, basically dividing it into 3 segments. Phase 1 would be the northern third, roughly, from Orange Road south under I-71 to, I don't know, quarter mile roughly south of I-71. So that's what we're talking about right now. Estimated project cost, I need to open that up, sorry. I should know that off the top of my head. So the overall project cost for all 3 phases is about $9 million. Phase 1 is about $3.5 million. And so what we have proposed and given a project agreement to Orange Township for is a $500,000 grant from the TID to the township towards this project to help assist with that. So I can answer any other questions.
Are there any questions for Bonnie or Rob? I'd just point out that,
Tom had a good point earlier. He was looking at Waverly Drive, the intersection on Phase 3. That isn't final design by any chance, because it should be a right angle coming into that intersection, shouldn't it?
Waverly Drive?
Yeah, because it's pretty
we
much of a skew.
we haven't done
down.
final design on that phase.
I know this is just a schematic, but Tom's right about that.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 intersections there. Waverly, that Woods of Bale Canyon entrance, but all those have really poor sight distance.
Yeah.
And you got vertical and horizontal curves right at, it's tough, it's a tough section.
But those are all square in, where this one comes in an angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll take a look at that, Pat. I think.
Well, Tom's the one who brought it up. He gets credit.
Okay, Tom, we'll take a look at that. I know that, that probably the way that's oriented, that development is, the road is oriented to the east, to the west, and so that just happens to be kind of a curve in the road. We'll take a look at that, thank you.
Yeah, because they gotta be out on the walking path before they can see oncoming traffic to turn left.
Right.
Thank you.
This is the kind of project that I think TIDs were designed to do, to pool funds from different sources to try to make projects happen that maybe wouldn't otherwise happen as soon or happen at all. I started with Delaware County in 1989, and one of the first things we dealt with were developments there at Woods Bale Canyon and then Waverly, and the sight distance and the difficulty of trying to build new roads on a road that was at that time one of the most rural roads in the county, and narrow, and had a lot of geometric challenges to it, and still does. The fact that all this development's occurred and not much has happened to Bale Canyon is actually pretty remarkable, and not in a good way, remarkable. So I'm glad for your township that this is going to be an improvement. It's a step forward. We have to put it in bite-sized pieces in order to manage projects like this. But I'm glad we're going to get that addressed, and I'm glad that our board can be a part of helping make that happen.
Oh, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for all your cooperation. If there's no other discussion, I'd entertain a motion to approve the project agreement with Orange Township for Bale Canyon Road Improvement, Phase 1.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
And we'll have that on our next trustee meeting for authorization on our end.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there any other business to come before our board today? Hearing none, the October 12th date, is that good for everybody?
Yes.
All right. I'll exercise the privilege as chair. Without objection, I'll declare us adjourned.